What's up, beautiful people? Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. If you are new here, hello, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for stopping by and watching my video. Today I am going over my 24 books that I want to read for 2024. Now, with the help of Storygraph, I have a good understanding of like books that I really enjoy or that I've really enjoyed this year. And so a lot of my books are dark, emotional, and fantasy are my top 3 books or characteristics of the books that I really enjoyed. And I think it's fair to say a lot of my books in 2024 will definitely be dark and emotional for sure. If you have read any of these books, I would love to know. I have quite a few books. A lot of these books I don't have in my possession, but I will be purchasing. It's just with the holiday, I did not get my books in time for this video. So I will be ordering, I ordered most of them and then I will be ordering some more. But my goal for next year is to utilize my library so much more. I have a really good routine of picking up, and you know, the librarians know me and my daughter. And so next year will be a lot of library books, maybe even library hauls. I enjoy haul videos, but then it's like, I don't need any more books on my shelves unless I absolutely love them. I just don't feel the need to do, I don't feel the need to purchase as much. And so, yeah, as much as I would love to purchase books just for videos, like that to me is ridiculous. So, I work way too much and way too hard to spend books on books that I just don't enjoy. And so I don't want to do that next year. So this is in no particular order, but I want to start with my most anticipated book for next year that I absolutely have to have, will get doubles of, will get all editions of this book, and that is the Ending Fire trilogy. That is by Sarah L. Farafi, and this is the 3rd book in the Ending Fire trilogy and the final and last book of the Ending Fire trilogy. And I've absolutely enjoyed the first one. So many things that I could relate to, including the class system and the way the elites, based off of, you know, their blood and how they just, it's so much. There's so much in that book. The way that the lower class is treated and the lack thereof, the resources. The 2nd book was shocking and devastating and just, oh God, pulled at my heartstrings. There were some characters that passed away that I would just like did not want them to pass away. Like I was rooting for them. And I definitely somewhat predicted the cover of this book. So each cover represents the blood within the book, right? So some people are red blood, some people are blue blood, and then I knew that it was either going to be white to represent clear or this gray color. And so as you can see by the cover, definitely beautiful. First of all, cover art, stunning. The next book is going to be the final and 3rd book of the Legacy of Orisha series. Now, I enjoyed the first one and I did enjoy the second one. This is by Toni Morrison, and people hated the 2nd book. Not only did the author take her time and release a book that people just did not like, which is valid. Like, oh, I get it. I did not personally understand it. You have every right to not like a book. The author took the book in a different direction. Things are intentional. Books are supposed to make you feel some type of way. Well, not all the time, but a lot of the times they want you to hate these characters. They want you to hate the plot. They want you to hate, you know, what's going on. That is the intent of it. They really hated her for that. Everybody's viewpoints are valid to a certain extent, but it's her books. You know, like, do what you want. And to dislike an author and not want to support an author because she took time to write it. There's plenty of authors that have pushed their books back years, and people are not attacking them for that. To me, it doesn't make any sense. But finally, she is coming out with another book. Now, the 3rd book and the last book was supposed to come out this year, 2023. It got pushed back into next year. So she had a lot going on, and I'm glad she took a break away from social media to wrap up and then finally announce book 3. So the next book is going to be a memoir. This is called Knife. This was this author experienced an attempt on his life where he is starting to speak out and talk about the unforgettable details and the traumatic events that happened in 2022. And it says that it is a gripping, intimate, and ultimately life-affirming meditation on life, loss, love, art, and finding the strength to stand up again. I am excited to read this. This comes out April 2024. It is published by Random House, and so it does sound gripping. It does sound like something that I would love to read. And then he is taking the violence and turning it into art within the book, and so I want to see how he switches that traumatic event into something artistic, I'm guessing. Maybe that's just the book itself being art, but who knows? I will find out for sure. The next book is going to be Who Fears Death. This is by Dr. Nnedi Okorafor, and I look forward to reading this. This is about a woman who, there's an apocalypse. Oh my God, did I just say that? That word is so hard for me to say. And a woman survived, and then she was R-word during invaders within her village. And so she goes into the desert to try to unalive herself, and then she ends up giving birth to an angry baby girl with hair and skin the color of sand. And so it looks like she names the baby something that I'm not even going to attempt to say, but it means Who Fears Death, and that is the baby's name. And so I guess we're going to follow her journey. I am definitely going to get a different copy of this book because this is way too small for me to read. The next book is going to be Station 11. This is by Emily St. John Mandel. I have read a book by this author before. Absolutely loved it. And I've been wanting to read this for a while now. And it says that there is civilization collapse, and they are taking Hollywood stars. They create a nomad group with the actors, and then it looks like hours later the world as we know it begins to dissolve, moving back and forth in time. It has amazing reviews, and I know a lot of people, I mean years ago, probably almost 10 years ago, recommended the book to me, and so I will finally read it. The next book is going to be House of Leaves. This book I did attempt to read sometime last year, and the footnotes were just so long drawn out. But this book is about a author who writes a book about a house that is alive, essentially, or the house is moving, moving and expanding, and then you read about a character who is experiencing the house, and then you read another story. There's like 3 stories in one in here. I don't really know, but I know that within this book you are spiraling with the characters. It feels like you're, and a lot of people DNF it because of that. You are actually going through the motions with the characters, and there's so many just crazy things. Those are all X's. There's color in here. Sometimes you have to read the book upside down. This is a great example. There's so many footnotes, and it's so much like different other multimedia. I know that there's also like CDs and audio that you can also play that ties into, and songs that tie into this book as well. I'll have to look it up on Reddit, but you have to read it sideways, and it just really is a whole ass experience reading this book, and I just couldn't get past the footnotes. It was just a lot, and so I really want to sit down with it. I probably will read this during spring break when I have some time off. The next book is going to be White Teeth. This is by Zadie Smith. As one of the most talked about debut in recent years, is a funny, generous, big-hearted novel adored by critics and readers, dealing with, among other things, friendship, love, war, 3 cultures, 3 families, over 3 generations, in a tricky way the past has of coming back to bite you in the ankles. It is a life-affirming, righteous, must-read book. The next book is going to be Pocahontas. This cover, stunning. Absolutely love it. Pocahontas Poems, and this is a debut novel or debut volume that challenges modern terms. Her poems move from a rhythmic discussion of the Kardashians, sugar daddies, and Twilight, rendering the natural world of precise emotions. I know that this goes into a lot of feminist views and, like she said, mythology and whatnot. I'm really looking forward to reading this. It says that she's a young poet, and she explores the identity as a 21st century indigenous woman, and poem by poem, Tibble carves out a new bold way of engaging history and straddling the modernist and ancestry desires and exploitation. The next book is going to be The Things She's Seen, and this is by Emblem and Ezekiel 𝑐𝐯𝑚olina. I'm butchering that. I'm so sorry. This book It is a YA mystery book. This one was published back in 2018, and it states that her dad is drowning in grief, and he's the only one that has been able to see and hear her since the accident. But now she has a mystery to solve, and a mystery that hopefully will remind her detective father that he is still alive and that there is life after Beth that is still worth living. And that, again, I know it's a touchy subject, you know, a child passing away, a father is grieving. For me, this sounds so intriguing. It is only 208 pages, and it was written by a brother and sister, and I'm really excited for that. The reviews are pretty good, so I'm anticipating a very good read. I'm anticipating at least a 4 or 5 star for this book as well. The next book is going to be an unusual book that I'm definitely stepping outside of my comfort zone. This is Blood Meridian, or The Evening Redness in the West. This book has really great reviews. It is set in 1850s on the border of Texas and Mexico. And it is about if I'm not mistaken, there's some mythology in here as well. Western 14-year-old Tennessean who stumbles around a nightmarish world where Indians are being murdered and the markets for their scalps are thriving. First of all, sick. Okay, very sick. It was definitely recommended to me, and I believe it is also on this as well. This is something that I will be doing next year. Oh, it's already messed up. Ooh, this is 100 must-read books that I will be doing next year, and Blood Meridian is on here. If I'm not mistaken, I remember seeing it on here, as well as a few other books that I will be talking about. Yep, it is on here, 1985. So, I will be doing this next year and hanging that up when I get to my new place, because I will be moving. So, I'm going to read it. I don't like Western books, or things that give that Western feel. And so, it's definitely stepping outside of my comfort zone, but I definitely want to be able to read that next year. Next book is going to be, again, something that I don't read. This is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I don't read classics. I have not read classics. I know a lot of people have to read classics for high school or college. I did not. Now is the time to definitely change that. I feel like I'm behind on the times when people mention books. I've never read certain childhood favorite books, and I never read a lot of the classics. The book is going to be a revolution, how everyday people are fighting oppression and changing the world, and how you can too. This is by 𝘐𝐸𝐴𝑙𝑢𝑜, and I immediately saw the title, add to cart immediately. This book comes out January 30th by Harper One, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it. This is a nonfiction social justice book, how we are fighting oppression every day, and I think that in the United States we see it down to the overturning of laws that are happening, and it's terrifying. And so this book is 256 pages. I do plan on reading it definitely in the month of February, right after it releases, and I encourage you to also pick up the book as well. Next book is going to be Beloved by Toni Morrison. Have I read this book? I believe so, but I don't remember, and I've had it for a while now. Look at how stunning she is, first of all. So there is a read-along happening in 2024 that someone is hosting. I have no idea what the person's name is. Maya from Supernova Maya has sent me the link, and we have been talking about reading Toni Morrison for months now, and it just so happened she found something on Storygraph, so I was like, okay, cool. Now, I will probably be reading at least 6 or 7 Toni Morrison books throughout the year of 2024. Again, I'm catching up. I'm catching up to what I feel so behind on, and now's the time. All right, to get into the heartbreaking books that I will be reading, these are a lot of classic literature, nonfiction books that I will be reading. This one in particular is classic fiction literature set in Africa. So this is Heart of Darkness. This is by Joseph Conrad. It looks like it was published in 1899 about Charles Marlowe, who recounts his adventures with a group of men on board an anchored ship. This story was told of his early life as a ferry boat captain. Although his job was to transport ivory down the river, Charles develops an interest in ivory, an ivory procurement agent named Kurtz, who is employed by the government. And, oh gosh. Kurtz has now established himself as a god among the natives, one of the darkest places on earth. Oh, Marlo suspects that something else Marlo suspects something else of Kurtz. He has gone mad. And so this is about colonialism and a journey into the nightmare psyche of one of the corrupted. I was looking at books about Congo. This was one that popped up. It has a ton of reviews and over 500,000 ratings. And so, and I feel like I have blinders on and I need to read more. That's my way of being able to just gain the knowledge. And I feel like it's going to be a hard-hitting book. Now, some of the reviews on here saying that this is a misrepresentation. I don't know if it's a misrepresentation of what's going on or these colonist horrible people, you know, are just horrible and that's why people are rating it bad, but we shall see. I want to read it. Now, this book is probably my most anticipated yet hard-hitting book that I am going to be reading next year for sure, that I feel like might emotionally break me. So I'm definitely going to be reading it in the spring, in the summer. This book is a memoir, and it is How Dare the Sun Rise? Memoirs of a World Child. This is by Sandra 𝘐𝑯𝘵𝘢𝘨𝑚𝑎𝑛𝑎. I'm butchering that. I'm so sorry. This is also co-written by Abigail Pesta. And again, when I was looking at books to read about Congo, I wanted to choose a few books. I have a whole list of books that I definitely will be reading next year. But these last two books, including this one, this book right here, the synopsis, tore me up. She was 10 years old and she found herself at gunpoint. The rebels came at night wielding weapons, torches, and machetes. She watched as her mother and 6-year-old were gunned down in a refugee camp far from home in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And so I won't go into a little bit more. I won't go any more into it, but this is one that I will be sitting with and really taking my time with, really just, you know, going over it bit by bit, because I don't want to rush through this book. Reading something from a first-party lens, it hits differently for me. Probably the one that tears me apart the most for next year. Next book is going to be the 100 Years War on Palestine from 1917 to 2017. And let's face it, 2023 through 2024. This is more than 100 years that we are talking about with the war on Palestine. And let's be clear, it was Palestine before anything else. And so this was one of the books that when reading about the history of Palestine, this was brought up. I just wasn't in the right headspace to be able to read it. I've been sharing, and I will continue to share about the impact that's still happening in Palestine, and it just, yeah, I'm ready for it. I definitely will be reading this next year for sure. Again, I feel like I had blinders on. Like, how does a war happen for 100 years and it's never talked about in schools, or, you know, people. I've never heard about it from my family or foster family. I've never heard about it anywhere, and it's been happening for 100 years, and I just feel so ignorant. But that's okay. We're going to change that next year. There's so much world history that I need to learn in general, and I'm ready to dive into it and learn. Yeah, next book, and I'm sorry if you hear sirens, and then my kid is also playing basketball in her room. The next one is going to be Black Cake. This is by Charlemagne Wilkinson, and I am ready to read this book. I want to watch the adaptation. I've been putting it off for a very long time, but it's, oh my god, I'm putting it off, and so I've had the book on my shelves for a while now, and it's time for me to get into it. I know that there is a murder, but other than that, I don't know much about it. We can't choose what we inherit, but we can choose who we become, and I want to be able to read the book and then watch the adaptation, and so that's what I'm going to do next year. Looking forward to that. Those sirens are really going. Going to be The Color Purple. This is by Alice Walker. I have not, shamefully, again, have read this book. I have not. I have watched the movie time and time and time again, but I have not read this book. And it is on the 100 must-read books, and so I'll be able to scratch this one off as well. I'm going to try to read at least 10 books off that list the 100 books to read list, and hopefully in like 5 years I can go ahead and finish reading all of those books. There's some books on there that I definitely have already read, but that is my goal. Next book is going to be an arc that I have. This book comes out on the 1st of March, and this is by Douglas Westerbeck, and this is the author, which I think is really cool. The author lives in Ohio and works at one of the largest libraries in the U.S. He has spent the last decade on a local panel for the International Dublin Literary Award, which inspired him to write his own book. And so it says that it's coming out March 1st, but then on the back it says coming April 2024. So March or April it's coming out. It says that Invisible Life of Addie LaRue meets Life of Pi in this dazzling epic debut that charts the incredible adventurous life of one woman as she journeys the globe trying to outrun a mysterious curse that will destroy her if she stops moving. And this is set in Paris, 1885, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. I'll probably be reading this sometime in March if it comes out in April, so I'll try to get to it. It is 387 pages, and so not too bad. I think this is the perfect length of a novel, so I look forward to reading it, especially if it's compared to Addie LaRue. The next book, Madness, Race and Insanity in the Jim Crow Asylum. This is by Anita Hilton. This book comes out at the end of January on the 23rd. Knowledge is power, and I'm really just trying to learn so much more. It says that on a cold day in March 1911, officials marched 12 black men into the heart of the forest in Maryland. Under the supervision of a doctor, men were forced to clear land, pour cement, lay bricks, harvest tobacco. When the construction was finished, they became the first 12 patients of the state hospital for Negro insane. For centuries, black patients have been absent from our history books. Madness transports the reader behind the brick wall of Jim Crow Asylum. This will be a great book for me to read in February, so expect this on my February TBR. Next book is going to be The Principle of Moments, and this is by 𝘐𝐸𝐿𝐸 Pearson. I am definitely butchering that, and so I need to figure out how to pronounce the names. I feel so bad. This is a sci-fi book set in space, and it is compared to, a lot of people are comparing it to Star Wars meets something. I don't remember. It's definitely a sci-fi book. I don't want to know much about it. I just need to know sci-fi and space, and I was like, yes. And this Illumicrate edition is stunning. Absolutely love it. In papers, gorgeous, naked cover, stunning, absolutely beautiful. And so I will be reading this as well. The last book and the final book of the 24 books for 2024 is Mask of Mirrors. This is the first book in the Rick and Rose series, and I tried to read this. I softly DNF'd it because I just could not get into it. It was this is written by M.A. Carrick, and like I said, I just could not get into it. It's so big, so chunky, and I could not care about the characters at the time. I'm going to try it again. I'm not a character-driven person. I need plot. Like, I need plot. And this character dresses up and pretends to be someone she's not, like a princess or something, if I recall correctly. And I just could not have cared. Like, why do I need to care about this princess? Who is she? Why do I need to care? I had no idea. So I wasn't in the right headspace to read this. I do have book 1. I do have book 2. But I know book 3 came out last year. And 2024 will be the year. It will definitely be the year. I have one more book on my series that I accidentally skipped, and so this is actually the last book. And so this is going to be Gardens of the Moon. This is book 1 of the Malazan of the Fallen series. This is part of a 10-book series, but there's extensions on extensions on extensions, and it's just, I would not recommend this series for someone who is, 10 books is a commitment, I feel like, but there's a prequel, there's a post series book, and then there's a co-written author named Ian Esselmont who has 6 books of his own, plus an additional 4 books that are also tied into this Malazan world. This world is so complex. There's hundreds and hundreds of characters within supposedly one book, and so it's a lot. I'm not going to recommend this series to anyone to read unless you're ready for the commitment of reading this series. It is, when I started researching and looking into the Malazan, the amount of information in podcasts and just videos regarding Malazan and the complexity of this world. It is more complex than Sanderson, which I was able to read all of 𝐏𝐸𝐵 last year, and it had a fun time doing so. But one thing that I loved about Sanderson is the complexity and the world building. I loved that characters were popping from one series to another series, the tie-ins of, you know, one series with the magic to another series. I love the crossover is what I'm trying to say. And the Malazan world has a ton of that. I love being able to make those connections and see people from one book to another, to one series to another. There's also 6 novellas, and there's a 7th novella, but it's handwritten. There's so much to the series. I will be reading all of Malazan, including the novellas, including the prequels, including Ian Esselmont, and reading all of them in 2024. This is going to be the main series that I read next year. There is a few read-alongs that I'll be doing and joining, but for the most part, my focus is definitely the nonfictions as well as Malazan for 2024. And there goes my goals for 2024. Alright, that is it for this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I want to know, have you read any of these books? Are you going to, in the future, read any of these books? And hopefully you find a book or two to add to your TBR. Until next time, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!